What's up? What's up? Yours truly, Brother Hammonds here, chilling on this is Monday, this is a part of the Memorial Day weekend, and traditionally, regardless of what day Memorial Day falls on the weekend, it's usually celebrated, that following Monday, so that's what we're doing right now. I know that many are, this is just a normal work day for many people. Used to be for me as well. I'm, of course, currently retired from AT&T and getting ready to jump into, another career after getting the CDL squared away. And things are coming right along. Hopefully, by next week or so, because I had to do the old not sleep study. All that's done, but for this particular company, they want 30 days of data, which I think is probably the truth or the standard for most companies here, at least in California. I think I was listening to or watching a video from the Wright brother earlier, and I don't know if it was recent or not. Actually, I think it was a couple years ago at least. He was talking about the BMI and sleep apnea and that sort of thing really becoming a big thing, a big issue. And that's true. It is. Because I got caught up in that. And so how it will go is, the data will prove that, hey, I have used it, been using it, properly. And, have met with some good positive results there. Which, the bottom line of it all is just, one's overall health. And no, I don't have a problem with falling asleep driving or anything like that. In fact, that would be something more severe like narcolepsy or something like that, or that particular condition. But it does help me, sleep nicely at night there so that I'm refreshed during the day, which I believe is kind of sort of the industry's point about it. And actually, I don't know what the heck, the actual motive is, whether it's ulterior or whatever. I can only assume that DOT and companies or whatever just want healthy, safe drivers, so you can drive a long time, blah, blah, blah. I guess the best case scenario, that's what it's all about there. It is, in my own personal opinion, still a little bit of a racket in that you have these sleep centers of which you have to go to in order to actually have the study done, because most companies want an in-house, in-lab type study done opposed to the at-home, which is a lot more inexpensive, which coincidentally is the only one that many healthcare providers are willing to pay for. That's the at-home and more inexpensive version. So that cancels that out. So that means that you have to pretty much pay out of pocket, to go do an in-lab study. And if they're not the type of lab that will take new patients, same day and that sort of thing, there you might have to wait a few days at least, and weeks in many cases, in order to get a slot. And then after you go through the motions there, they're going to say, hey, yeah, you need a CPAP or a Bi-PAP machine. And again, you're faced with the situation that most healthcare providers are not going to pay for a Bi-PAP or CPAP, and so that's going to be more out-of-pocket costs for you. And then you get into your 2 to 3 to 4 weeks of data required to proceed on, to get your DLT medical card, etc. So it is quite time consuming, and so hopefully, I've done everything I was supposed to have done in the process of getting the CDL will commence. Now, for those that have yet to get your start school somewhere to get your CDL, and I've said it in other videos, I recommend that you get all this done and out of the way before you even start class. Because it's quite frustrating and time consuming. Get it all done, and then go ahead and get your 30 days of data in, so that it's all ready and fresh. You can, and most of those machines that you get your machine, and in most of the machines you can download the results onto an SD card, and or some of the facilities. They have provisions that allow you to uplink it to a satellite, and they can download that and produce a report for you so that you can take it in. That way, when you get to day 1 or 2 or whatever of whatever company you start with, you can present this data, and then you press on from there. They'll probably need a day or 2 or whatever to just evaluate to make sure that it's legit and everything. I'm talking about your occupational doctors and whatnot, to verify that it's legit and everything, and then you should be okay. And then you can proceed on without with minimal interruption of your training time for the CDL. Otherwise, you're looking at least 30 days of delay, for proceeding. Now, for those of you that are already in the industry and your BMI is above 35 and your neck size is larger than 17, it might become an issue. Definitely in California, but it might become an issue. Not something that's insurmountable. I don't think it's a deal breaker or whatever, but and a weight that's a certain. I think they look at your weight as well, or at least those become flags, as the right brother indicated. You'll have to get the study done, and if you have to get the study done, then you'll pretty much have to follow that same process that I and others have had to follow. And during this time, and I imagine your company will determine whether or not you can still drive going through this phase or not, unless it's a dead stop per DOT. And I'm not quite certain as to how that is for independent drivers and stuff, owner operators. It might just be a straight up DOT thing, but at any rate, you'll have to go through the same thing. So my advice, my humble advice as a neophyte, someone that's still trying to get into the industry, would be for those that are already in, the veterans, is don't wait until you have to, take your DOT physical again to get your thing squared away. Go ahead and take some time, maybe during one of your resets or something, get an appointment set up, and go do the sleep study. Get your machine, because again, if you fall into one of those categories, they're going to say you need a machine. Get your machine, and then continue on driving. So you want to give yourself, if you're due to take your DOT in the next 30 to 60 days or something like that, then you'll have time to get your data, and then you'll have to of course, with e-logs and everything, it kind of forces you to be on the clock anyway. And I think the minimum is they need to see at least 4 hours of usage per day. So get the sleep study done, get the evaluation, get the machine, and then get your data going there, so that when it comes time for you, and I'm speaking, like I said, to the veterans, just a suggestion to the veterans, you do whatever you want. Then you'll have all of your data and everything, your machine on board and everything, which might require an inverter if you don't already have one. And then you're ready to go. You're good to go. They see that, and they see that you're on it. They see that you're managing it. Boom. You won't miss. You shouldn't miss a beat. So just chew on that a little bit there. If it makes sense, then might want to consider it. I know that out here in California, if you're around the Fontana, Rancho Cucamonga, Pomona area there, those of you familiar with the area, you know what I'm talking about. And for many of you that have gone through the schools out there, because there's a lot of trucking companies with terminals and stuff like that out there, specifically CRST, and I believe Swift is out there, and I think Knight or whatever. Well, I think they merged or something, but whatever, they're out there, and a few others. Gardner, I think, is nearby. There's the American Sleep Center, which is, I believe, is on Archibald there in Rancho Cucamonga. They have a nice facility, nice staff, and all of that, and so I'll give them a little bit of a recommendation there. I didn't have any problems with them. Everything was pretty straight ahead and everything. Still a racket, I think, because the sleep centers, they actually sell the equipment too, so it's in their best interest from a fiscal point of view to ensure that you or recommend that you need a machine. And it's not a bad thing. I know there's a certain stigma there with having a machine and whatnot, but it's really not all that bad. They have a number of different masks that you would use at night there. Might look a little weird if someone's looking at you, but it's not all that bad. And hey, whatever it takes to keep us driving, right? Because if the wheels are not turning, you're not making the money. Boom. And that's for company and for owner operators and stuff. So with that said, I hope that everybody's had being productive and having a good time doing whatever you're doing, whether or not you're driving or chilling at home or wherever you're planning yourself for this weekend here. Hopefully you're making money, whatever it is that you're doing, or just living life, which is important. And I'll be getting back at you in the next video, okay? In the meantime, as always, in between time, be blessed, and then be a blessing to someone else.